For people who find it very difficult to discipline themselves, or just are waiting for motivation to kind of just hit them in the head before they even step out and do anything, what kind of words do you have for people who find themselves in those situations?
Yeah, I think motivation rarely comes if we just sort of wait for it. If anything, like if there have been times in my life like that, the longer I wait, the less motivated I kind of feel. But I think, speaking for myself, and I think other people would have had these experiences as well, starting something off, even if it's the smallest first step, that helps build the motivation and the confidence and self-efficacy to then be able to do the next step and the next step and the next step. So I don't think waiting for motivation is a good strategy. I think it's a matter of going out there. If we can just overcome that initial hurdle to start something and build from that, we'll have greater success.
You must have come across many people in your time, both in personal life and in your professional life, that are just like, I don't have any motivation to do anything. Or especially in depression, people who find themselves like they can't physically bring themselves, or people who are withdrawing from substances, they don't have that motivation. In those situations, what have you found to be the most helpful?
I think two things, like from a kind of CBT perspective, when we're looking at the behavioral component of trying to get someone out of that period of depression, we look at things like behavioral activation. So what are those small steps that you can take that day to help build that sense of motivation and just getting up and about and doing things? Like, you got out of bed and you had a shower, great. Like, is that a possible first step, or does that feel too big? And let's see what an appropriate first step for you could be. At the same time, we often find that people who are struggling with these sorts of things have a very strong internal critical voice that is also serving as a massive barrier to them doing whatever it is they need to do, or to sort of come out of that period of depression. And we find this to be the case also within, as you mentioned, like people who have addictions. And so we want to find that balance between, yeah, great, like we want you to get up and take those steps, whatever those steps may be. And at the same time, we want you to be kind to yourself and compassionate to yourself, and not overly critical if you don't get to do all those things, or if you don't achieve that goal that you had for today. Because that's going to spiral us right back into that negative, self-critical place. We're going to feel worse about ourselves. We're going to feel less likely to get up and do things, and then we spiral further downwards. So it's a balance of doing what we can, setting those small steps to push ourselves, but being kind and gentle along the way.
Yeah. How long does it take to develop a habit in that time?
How long is a piece of string? I think it depends. It depends on so many things, but one of the things it depends on is like how deeply ingrained that self-criticism is. Like, is this a way that you have been relating to yourself and talking to yourself since you were a young child, and you've had 40, 50 years of practicing it, and how much do you believe that part of yourself? Because we all have that sort of inner critic, but the degree to how awful it can be and how punitive it can be, and also how much we believe its messages can differ. So I think that in itself plays a big factor into how long it can take to sort of change some of these patterns for someone.
I mean, there is research that I've come across, but I can't remember exactly the amount of days that it generally takes a person to form a new habit. But something like 66 days is one number that sticks to my mind, and I wonder whether that's a consistent effort over time. every single day, like brushing your teeth. You know, it's kind of like, what's the smallest possible step that you can do to gain, you know, a sense of moving forward. One thing that I mean, to answer your question about how long is a piece of string, it's always twice the size of half its length. So that's the answer to that one. That was a dad joke. Anyways, let's move forward to something different.